For about as long as I've had this channel, I've wanted to make a video essay on mockumentary sitcoms. I think sitcoms are dope because they're the ultimate exploration of what TV specifically offers an artist. And this overwhelming trend since The Office has fascinated me. The thing is, I struggled to create a thesis on mockumentary sitcoms, either in explaining their popularity or making an argument about the subgenre at large. And I didn't want to do a lazy video where I just ranked all of them or something, although, hey, I don't want to take that easy option off the table. But everything changed when I watched the first season of The Comeback. In this video, I'm breaking down The Comeback, praising it, and using its success to answer the question, why the fuck can America not stop making mockumentary sitcoms?
Well, I got it.
Could you do it again?
Well, I got it.
Just one more.
Well, I got it! Alright, you can't use that. This is my comeback.
While Jennifer Aniston launched a studio comedy career that would peak in the mid-2010s, Courtney Cox worked on the occasional family film, and Matt LeBlanc tried to make Joey a thing anyone wanted to watch. Kudrow stayed right there to satirize what they'd seen. After wrapping up her 235th episode as Phoebe Buffay in 2004, Kudrow went straight to pitch The Comeback on HBO with Sex and the City EP Michael Patrick King. Kudrow gives a nuanced performance as washed sitcom actress Valerie Cherish. For some reason, depending on where you read about this show, the descriptions will call Valerie an A-list, B-list, or even D-list celebrity. Having seen the show, I'd say in 2026, she's just below the Lily from How I Met Your Mother level of fame. Kudrow is obviously hilarious, writing great comedy for the series behind the camera, but it's King's perspective from working with HBO on Sex and the City that elevates the series in two critical ways. First, he knows how to craft character arcs and write for a cast of female characters who impact each other in interesting ways. Second, through the annoying shit he dealt with as a producer at the network, he can sympathize with Kudrow's experiences and preserve the honesty of the satire. The series begins as a chance encounter between King and Kudrow 20 years before the first episode even aired. Like many a comedy great, Lisa Kudrow was a member of the Groundlings improv group alongside King's friend Jon Stark, who is a successful TV writer in his own right. They crossed paths again in 1994 when Lisa was on Mad About You and Michael was brought in as a script doctor on Good Advice, a Shelley Long vehicle. Many speculate that Shelley Long on this show may have been somewhat of an influence on the character of Valerie Cherish, but that's just an interesting speculation, fun fact. During this time, they developed more of a friendship, discussing the ironic brutality of the sitcom business. Years later, they reunited at the Emmys when, as Lisa jokes, they would have to move so Sex and the City could get the awards they beat Friends out for every single year. Michael notes it was this amazing and strange knew each other in different time periods thing. When Friends and Sex and the City wrapped, their agents arranged a lunch, but neither were particularly interested in a show that simply aped or worse yet combined their smash hits. Kudrow said, "The only thing I could ever see myself ever doing is this very vague, not at all fleshed out idea of an actress who is so desperate to be in the limelight that she agrees to be in a reality show called The Comeback." In the first episode, Valerie goes to an audition for the role of Aunt Sassy in a new sitcom called Room and Board. The waiting room holds some pretty successful actresses pushing into the fatal camp in Hollywood known as middle age. And although some of them are more popping than her and probably better for the show, she's the only one who's willing to do what comes with the role. Have cameras follow you around 24/7 for a new reality series called The Comeback, set to release alongside Room and Board. Throughout the first season, Valerie is supported by her older gay hairdresser Mickey and her husband Mark, although his disdain for the camera causes some friction in their relationship. The Cherishes have money. She just needs the love of the people more than anything else. The person she has to see the most, however, is the dry producer of the reality series, Jane. Her number one enemy is, of course, her own need to be loved, but a very, very close second is Polly G, the alcoholic showrunner on Room and Board who despises her. Their arguments culminate in her socking him in the gut, and because he drinks too much, he yaks everywhere, and then she sees him yak. Valerie develops a friendship with the young blonde lead of the series, Juna. Rather than Valerie being outright Gloria Swanson towards the young beauty, or Juna being resentful of the obviously jealous Valerie, they have a nuanced relationship that leans positive for both of the women. The series comes to a head with the brilliant finale, Valerie does another classic Leno. Valerie learns that Pauly G has finally agreed to sit down to do a talking head for The Comeback. Worried that he tore her apart in it, she delivers a no-holds-barred final interview about Pauly. It's finally time for The Comeback's first episode to air. Valerie invites everyone to a watch party at her home. When Jane doesn't show, Valerie gets worried. Is she hiding from the monster she's created? Maybe. Because the premiere is ruthless, making Valerie look ridiculous, but worst of all, the aggressor in the relationship with Pauly G. With the camera crew behind her, she storms out of her own party and practically breaks into Jane's shitty apartment. But even as Jane insists she didn't edit the thing, Val quits The Comeback. The following day, Valerie appears on Leno to promote her 2 shows. Although Mark helped her avert her eyes from the tabloids' reaction to the comeback, it'll be impossible to avoid it any longer. However, shockingly, or maybe not so shockingly if y'all know how pop culture works, the people love the comeback. The snippet where she punches Pauly G and they both puke has gone viral. Soaking in the glory in the Leno dressing room, Val gets a call confirming a renewal, which she accepts, embracing Jane. This finale left me with such a terrible taste in my mouth that I absolutely loved. Despite everything, Valerie craves acceptance, especially as an older woman in Hollywood, as she signs barf bags, the monument to her humiliating low point in Valerie Shines Under Stress. You can't help but feel like this is a turning point in television. The rise of reality TV has infected Valerie. Valerie caught the bug back when she led her first sitcom, I'm It, but this is a whole new virus. To be stalked by cameras, to submit your darkest moment to meme compilations, there's something distinct. And yet the masses have once again accepted her with open arms. The depth of this finale, of Valerie Cherish, may have been too much for some. Midway through shooting the first season, King confessed to Kudrow, "Sometimes I wonder if we're too far ahead of the curve. People don't have a point of reference for a woman character in this position." Kudrow shrugged off his concern. "Well, they do now," she told him. Cable shows were packed with anti-heroes, Tony Soprano, Larry David, but it would be years before the comic anti-heroines of Veep and Girls. And he was right to ask. After the comeback lost its Emmy races, it was canceled. They may have been expecting the kind of numbers you would get if you multiplied Friends by Sex and the City, and of course, they were nowhere near that. After the series was canceled, when asked what a season 2 could have looked like, King responded, "Well, off the top of my head, we thought that Valerie's fame would give her more power and that she would therefore probably get rid of Pauly G and promote Gigi to showrunner, and then Gigi would become a monster. And I can tell you that Mickey was going to get bad porcelain veneers and leave his boyfriend for a young man, and we had a great idea for a drifting away Mark." It's a tragedy the series was done, and obviously, the comeback could never come back. Who you talking to while you're talking to me, baby? In 2014, the world found out that this series, the definition of ahead of its time, was going to be resurrected by the network. As Kudrow put it, "Michael Patrick King and I had tossed around the idea of maybe making a movie, but then we'd have to ask HBO. It's like asking a guy that broke up with you after running into him, do you want to get back together? But the people at HBO were picking up on something, so they came to us. We think people like Valerie Cherish and wouldn't mind seeing her again." Season 2 wasn't the Season 2 we got a preview of in that interview in 2006, but I think that's all for the better. Spoiler alert, the comeback came back one final time earlier this year, and I find that Valerie Cherish swooping in at every inflection point in television's trajectory is more interesting than if we had followed her from 2005 to, say, 2012. As Kudrow said in a New Yorker profile promoting the 3rd season, she's the same. Every 10 years, she's kind of becoming more of an intact grown-up. She smiled and added, "She's a good person. She wants what she wants." So 2005 was the dawn of reality TV, 2014 the rise of streaming, and 2026 is the birth of AI. Nearly a decade after the first season, we pick up with Valerie Cherish in a not-so-different place from where we found her in the pilot. Hollywood will only play with you as long as you're fresh. Since Room and Board and the comeback were canceled, Val has turned to student films and infomercials. She recently hired, for no pay, a crew of USC kids to shoot a proof of concept for a reality TV pilot to pitch to Andy Cohen, who it seems has no interest in this thing. Nothing is happening in her life that's worth the cameras following her around until she discovers her arch nemesis Pauly G is leading an HBO prestige dramedy Seeing Red that is blatantly based on their relationship during the first season. Mark encourages her to sit back and let a cease and desist do its work, but Valerie auditions to play herself. She's obviously the woman for the job. As production begins, she reunites with former colleagues, but Pauly G is a relentless director, humiliating her at every turn. Val rekindles her relationship with Jane to convince her to come back to lead a new reality series chronicling her experience on Seeing Red. Her marriage to Mark strains, and the set of the HBO show is tense. In another excellent finale, Valerie gets what she really wants. We find ourselves at another party, Juna's pre-Emmy party. There, Juna admits to Valerie she's disappointed in her for starring in Seeing Red and thereby tacitly endorsing Pauly G's perspective on what happened those years ago. This is followed by another blow when Valerie peeks through the Emmy curtain to find that Mark has not come to see her. As the Emmy telecast cameras go live, she receives a text from Mark. Mickey collapsed and has been rushed to the hospital. Displaying her growth, Valerie leaves behind Jane's camera crew, switching the show to a non-diegetic camera for the first time ever. She gets to the hospital and finds Mickey doing well and Mark at his bedside. Together, the three of them watch on television as Valerie wins an Emmy. Unlike the end of The Comeback Season 1 finale, which doubles down on the nature of fame and almost nihilistically accepts the incoming reality TV era, the second season's finale embraces the streaming era as something potentially dangerous, with the auteur-level control that Pauly G now has, but ultimately rewarding for actors and the public alike. More importantly, as reality TV is oversaturated, Valerie is finally permitted to leave the cameras behind. She is not stalked constantly. Maybe cable dying is a good thing. Or maybe not. While Season 2 breaks the rules once, Season 3 weaves together thousands of cameras, highlighting how surveillance has changed since 2014. 12 years later, Val is definitely doing better than before, running an incredibly bland podcast cleverly called Cherish the Time, with her equally bland manager, Patience, social media manager specifically. In the gap, she's had some highs and lows, and Mark has definitely had some lows. Unlike the first and second seasons, I don't want to spoil this one or jump ahead to the finale because it just came out, and I think everyone should check it out and show it some love, even though Kudrow has said they're done with the series. But it was Season 3, with its use of many different cameras in what we can call new mockumentary techniques, like Instagram stories and Zoom calls, that finally made the mockumentary sitcom technique click. We gotta stand up. It's getting serious now. For as long as genre standards have existed, artists have manipulated them to achieve their goals. As Thomas Doherty recounts in A Brief History of the Mockumentary, Orson Welles was one of the first to, forgive my French here, fuck with the mass audience's heads by taking advantage of less jaded mid-century Americans who took the truth for granted. Notoriously, with his fake radio news bulletins for Mercury Theater's production of The War of the Worlds that traumatized an invasion-weary nation in 1938, but also through the structure of his canonical text, Citizen Kane. The fake screen obituary in Citizen Kane unraveled the stiff formal wear of the bombastic Hollywood newsreel. Doherty. But the rise of the mockumentary sitcom can be traced to a few short-ordered comedy series that incubated on BBC Two in the late 1990s and early 2000s. In Craig Hight's Experiments in Parody and Satire short-form mockumentary series, he identifies Posh Nosh, a parody of cooking shows, Look Around You, a parody of kids' educational science shows, Marion and Jeff, a 2-season series about a vlogging taxi driver, and Double Take, a quote pastiche of paparazzi and surveillance footage poking fun at celebrities. That last one sound familiar? And what makes Marion and Jeff and Double Take distinct from Posh Nosh and Look Around You is that they are more a meditation on the rapid dissemination of cheap cameras to the public than a direct parody of a legacy format. So while I can't say for certain that these series inspired Ricky Gervais and Stephen Merchant to shoot The Office as they did, it does show us that it was in the air. As people began to be recorded more often, particularly celebrities in these shaky TMZ shots, the formal elements of a traditional sitcom began to appear less essential to comedy itself. Although the show within the show was always called The Comeback, the series was not always going to be named for the reality series within it. The working title of the show, not within the show, was Raw Footage. King wanted to emphasize that what the audience was seeing was the raw footage recorded for The Comeback. 2 or 3 scrambling cameras shooting unedited takes. Throughout the first 13 episodes, they never break their rules. We're always within the lens of The Comeback. What makes this genius to me is that it does the exact opposite of what both the mockumentary and the reality TV series typically do. As Fiona Otway writes in The Unreliable Narrator and Documentary, whereas fiction films assume that an audience will suspend their disbelief, accepting a non-factual premise in order to be told a story, documentaries derive their power in part from audiences' belief in the factual veracity of what is being presented. Documentaries ask that audiences suspend their disbelief in a different way. They must suspend disbelief that what they are seeing is anything but a factual representation of reality. But we know that reality television and documentaries are anything but reproductions of reality. They are highly edited, narratively, and ideologically driven works that are a smidge more real than Guardians of the Galaxy. But with the raw footage, the unedited, awkward in-betweens, The Comeback is more real than the documentary or the reality series. It is all that the medium cannot be. We love mockumentaries because talking heads and looks to the camera bring us in. Rather than a laugh track, which made us feel like one in a live audience, the mockumentary makes us feel a part of a global media landscape. We are looking, they look back. We talk, they talk back. There are 4 walls and a roof to these sets. In fact, they're not even sets. The camera weaves through a real space, enhancing the feeling that we're there. So unlike The Office, or maybe more appropriately Abbott Elementary, The Comeback does not invest in the cinema verite because it wants you to feel like one of the gang. It breaks down the standards of the golden age of the sitcom, because the golden age was breaking down on the TV screen. The Office US is more of a family, because rather than laugh with an audience watching them, we have voyeuristically become one of their own. And that extends even to the cameramen who are recording the mockumentary within the sitcom. With The Comeback, however, we're not allowed to become Valerie's friend or Jane's confidant. We can't watch Mickey on a date, and we definitely never get Pauly G explaining himself, sweetening himself, saving himself from villainy. We see how dangerous the camera is, especially when there's a presumption of verisimilitude. The Comeback helped me realize why the mockumentary sitcom has become the dominant mode, but also what's so fascinating about that. The sense of comfort it provides. It does what sitcoms have always done, but without the forms of the past. In many ways, the TikTok is more its own medium than television, film, or the album because it has even stronger industrial and commercial restraints. Your average TikTok so strongly fits within a certain set of genre conventions that it's extremely easy for anyone to blow up through understanding them. And thinking about the evolution of the mockumentary from season 1 to season 3, I think about how many TikToks are essentially mockumentaries. As TikToks are inherently self-aware, often deceiving the audience to make them laugh, you'll see the comments insisting that a video is okay because it's quote-unquote satire. Spencer Schaffner in Epilogue, Mockumentaries Meet New Media explains, web mockumentaries extend then the campaign for critical media awareness established by mockumentary film. There are obligations inherent in the video, and the comments attempt to hold the creators accountable, just as much as the press or critics or the Rotten Tomatoes audience score hold film production companies accountable. So why can America not stop making mockumentary sitcoms? Over its 3 seasons, The Comeback highlighted how cameras make people behave differently with, as Kudrow quips, everyone slowly becoming their own Valerie Cherish. The mockumentary format began with the widespread adoption of personal cameras. It flourished because the style more powerfully made viewers feel like part of the group, but I think it persists because it now reflects modern life, with its blurry lines of authenticity. The Comeback is unique for how it treats the camera, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little worried more people haven't left them behind like Valerie.